The sudden downfall of Ajax had left many football fans overwhelmed. Ajax are currently having the worst start to a season in their history. But what exactly went wrong? Today, we'll be breaking down the reasons behind it. Grab something to eat and sit tight, because we'll be revealing the key reasons behind this decline, and there's some very spicy ones that none of the international media has talked about. But first, in order to understand the reasons behind this sudden downward spiral, we have to go back to 2022. The 2021-2022 season. Ajax was still performing great. They were a money-making machine. They also kept winning constantly. There were two men behind this incredible success: Mark Overmars and Erik ten Hag. Overmars was Ajax director of football. He built a deep scouting network and had a simple but effective strategy. He signed great talents, and then he found on this network they performed well at Ajax. They were sold for a big amount of money and then replaced with other talents. This cycle never ended, and it was proven to be a great strategy. The other man, Erik ten Hag, as many know, was Ajax coach. He brought in a football philosophy that completely aligned with Cruyff and Ajax won. Ball possession, vertical attacking patterns, high line of pressing, attacking movements. He was able to display all of this against the biggest teams in the world. The matches against Real Madrid and Cristiano Ronaldo's Juventus proved that. Ten Hag was able to turn all the talents that Overmars brought to him into top players. What happened in 2022, though, is that both Overmars and ten Hag unexpectedly left. Overmars got into a controversial scandal in February 2022 after he sent inappropriate messages to several female colleagues, and he ended up resigning. Then, after 3 months, on May 15, ten Hag left Ajax to join Manchester United. After him and Overmars both unexpectedly left and Ajax wasn't even able to replace them, it all started to go downhill for the Dutch giants. Ajax were able to win Eredivisie and to play Champions League round of 16 with a fantastic 75% win rate. It was evident that ten Hag's team was still performing at great levels. This was their most used lineup that season. Ajax had not anticipated that out of all of the crucial figures that season, ten Hag and Overmars weren't the only ones leaving. They were followed by Antony, Lisandro Martinez, Haller, Gravenberch, Blind, Onana, Tagliafico, and Schrues, and even more players. This marked the beginning of a new era at Ajax, the 2022-2023 season. This wasn't an easy season for Ajax. They appointed Alfred Schreuder, who was ten Hag's assistant coach in the fantastic 2018-2019 season. But things didn't really go well, and Schreuder got sacked. John Headinghage took over as interim manager and led Ajax to a third-place position in Eredivisie, saving them from a much worse ending of the season, but yet losing to the Champions League spot for the first time in 14 years. As you guys can notice, Ajax was already starting their decline from the 2022-2023 season. Now let's get into the main topic of distress amongst fans, the 2023-2024 season. Ajax appointed Maurice Stijn as their new manager, who just came off of a great season at Sparta Rotterdam. There were major changes in the board too. Ajax appointed Sven Mislintat as their new director of football. Sven is a topic of major controversy. Some even say he played a key role in Ajax's underperformance. Mislintat threatened players, a reason why some of them started withdrawing their support for the coach. This and the bad transfer window put Mislintat and Stijn against each other. Let's see what those transfers looked like. Kudus, Timber, Edson Alvarez, and even Dusan Tadic, who asked for his contract to be terminated because he believed the club didn't have any ambition. But this time, it's not really about the players being sold. It's more about the way they were replaced. In fact, Ajax spent hundreds of millions of euros to bring in a lot of young players that lacked a big trait: experience. Season kicks off with a great 4-1 win for Ajax, making it look like it was the start of a very promising year. But this game was probably a fluke for Ajax, because it was all downhill after that. They ended up only getting 1 win out of the next 8 games. At this point of the season, something really big happened that probably conditioned Ajax's season, something that we believe didn't get much coverage from the international medias. Ajax were just getting into a week with 2 of the biggest matches of the season. One on Thursday against Olympique Marseille, and also the most important game for all Ajax fans, the Klassieke, a game played against the all-time rivals of Feyenoord. But something happened at the start of this crucial week. Ajax had to start an international investigation. For what reason, you might be thinking? Ajax's new signing, Borna Sosa, is represented by AKA Global. Remember Ajax's new director of football we talked about not so long ago? Mislintat owns a massive scouting and analysis company called Matchmetrics. And now you might be wondering, what does this have to do with Borna Sosa? Well, Sosa's agents, aka Global, partially own Matchmatrix too. This created a conflict of interest and a lot of internal problems in general. In the meantime, Ajax had to play their Europa League game versus Marseille on September 21st, a game that ended as a 3-3 draw. Just a few days later, Mislintat was fired from Ajax, although it was specified that it wasn't due to the accounting investigation going on. This happened right after the absolute chaos that took place during the Classica. Ajax were down 2-0 after just 20 minutes, but it was after the third goal scored by Paixão at minute 37 that the absolute chaos we talked about started happening. Fans were so mad that they started throwing flares in the pitch. All players went back to the dressing room and the match was momentarily suspended. The severity of the situation was escalating quickly, with rioters outside the Johan Cruyff Arena destroying the main entrance of the stadium, demanding the board and especially Sven Mislintat to resign, who ended up being fired after the game as mentioned earlier on. The match restarted after 15 minutes, but at minute 55 even more flares were thrown, and the game was officially interrupted and they completed a few days later, with Feyenoord winning 4-0. This was probably the lowest point of the season for Ajax. Unlike Mislintat, the manager Maurice Stijn was still given another chance. After a loss versus AZ Alkmaar, Ajax had to play Utrecht next. Utrecht wasn't having a great moment either. They lost 7 out of the 8 games they played before Ajax. This was believed to be a game that Ajax could win, but things didn't go as expected once again. After an absolute thrilling game, Ajax conceded a goal at minute 90 and lost the game 4-3. Fans started protesting and throwing objects into the pitch once again, and the game had to be interrupted. After this game, Maurice Stijn was sacked and John van Schip took over. But there hasn't been any improvement yet, although it's too early to judge the new manager. Now, after this long premise, where we looked back at Ajax's last 2 seasons, let's go back to our main question. Why is Ajax performing this bad? Well, as we've just seen, it's not really due to tactical reasons. Ajax doesn't even have a main tactic, because they've been changing managers so often in the last 2 seasons. The real reason behind Ajax decline is poor management from the board. Former manager Erik ten Hag was perfect for the team, but when he left, they didn't replace him with a manager as good as him. Same thing for Mark Overmars, who was never replaced by a great director of football. And when you build your success around 2 men, you're supposed to know the consequences of what will happen when those 2 men aren't around anymore. Ever since Overmars left, the replacements in the team have never been good enough, starting from the manager. And that's because Overmars' deep scouting network is completely gone. The board probably underestimated the quality of the top Dutch teams, which in the meantime have gotten slowly better than Ajax. To regain their status as best Dutch team, Ajax needs to find the good talents to build a team around once again, and it's not going to be fast. One thing is for sure, in order to do that, they need a proper replacement to Overmars to find those good talents, and the board needs to stop sacking managers and decide to trust one to start a new long project to make the talented young players they get signed valuable. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. We'll see you in the next video.